What's going on, guys? This is Damien from The Lookout and welcome to our set 20 meta tier list. Yeah, we've recently did a set 20 tier list with various archetypes, but now we're looking at the bigger picture. These are our predictions for what set 20 meta will look like. So if this is something that you're interested in, guys, please hit those like and subscribe buttons, share the video, help us grow. We are so close to 2,000 subs. We have like 50 or so left to go, and it's unbelievable. The love and the support that we've been receiving lately is just overwhelming. Thank you so much for it. And guys, maybe we can reach 2,000 subs by the end of March, and then we're gonna have an awesome giveaway. So yeah, that's it. Roll the video. Okay guys, here is the tier list. So let's try to do this in like 20 minutes or so. We have like 47 leaders to go through, so we'll just do this fast. Tier 0, OP should be banned. Tier 1, meta defining, you know what that means by now, like the meta decks or the decks that will warp the meta around them. Tier 2, very good decks. Some of these decks are the ones that will be topping events, just not in such a high number compared to tier 1 decks. And tier 3 is like casual decks, casual rogue okayish decks. These are good for locals. They likely won't be topping big events, but they're not bad. You know, they're not necessarily bad. Tier 4, actual trash, because like these are the ones that are just actual trash. And then a special tier, tier 5, Towa token deck. So you can already tell what's coming here. Now let's start this list. Let's try to do it in like 20 minutes, so that not all of our tier lists are like 40 minutes long. So I just set them up randomly. You can see there's a bunch of them, and yeah, Fate has decided that we're starting with Golden Frieza, which is my favorite yellow deck in the game. So I'm gonna be a bit biased, and I'm gonna say that Golden Frieza is definitely tier 1 in the upcoming meta. Now, the thing with Golden Frieza is that the first time we saw it do very, very well was during our breakdown of French regionals and French Zenkai Cups. And then it was like, wait, what? Like set 1 Frieza? What's happening? So ever since then, we have been seeing more and more Golden Friezas in top 8s. We even saw one at the World event. Like one of them like was at the Worlds, so that's enough to tell you how good the deck is. And now even after the ban list, we had some events and we still saw Golden Frieza performing very well, because nothing yellow was really touched on the ban list. Plus we have like the new Vegito, which is a bit trickier to get off with Frieza, because Frieza doesn't have a Z leader yet, or like a good Z battle card with barrier, so that you can be sure that it stays on the board, so that you can get the Vegito's other effect. But I just think, I'm sorry, my cat is being absolutely stupid, so sorry if I cut the video at some point. But yeah, I believe that this is a tier 1 deck. This is definitely the best yellow deck in the game, if you ask me. Then we have SS4 Goku Xeno. This one was piloted by Michael at the Raid and Trade Zenkai Cup, I believe, shortly after Trunks' God Sealing got banned. This is a very strong, very aggressive black deck. It has a lot of potential. It can dish out so many attacks super quickly. With God Sealing gone, it's easier to play this deck and to play your big threats. But where does it land? I would say that this is definitely like tier 2. This is tier 2. Don't be surprised if you see some of these decks topping, like SS4 Gokus. This is probably gonna top something. It didn't lose anything with the ban list. I don't believe that it is as good as Supreme Kai, but it's definitely a deck that has a lot of potential to take bigger events. It's super aggressive. And of course, it didn't lose anything on the ban list. It's black. Black never gets it on the ban list. What's next? So, next is Bojack. Bojack is an unfortunate victim of what happened to... I'm just changing lights, seeing what fits the best. Bojack is an unfortunate victim of the Boo Unison limit, the limit that I have been calling for forever. So yeah, unfortunately, Bojack is really suffering at the moment. There is only one other Unison that fits in the deck, and that one isn't as good. I'm very tempted to throw Bojack into like actual trash for now. So I think that it is still tier 3, but the other Unison, the other 4-cost blue Unison is not that good. I'm gonna piss off a lot of Bojack fans if I put it in like tier 4 actual trash. I'm not sold on this one. You know what? I'm gonna leave that one for later actually. Or nah, I'm just gonna... I'm gonna put it... I think I'm gonna put it here. And don't take this too personally if you're a Bojack player. If anything, take this as a sign of how devastating Boo Limit was without any other support for Bojack. And it's a huge shame because Bojack got dashback support. Bojack just got dashback support. And then they just killed the deck completely. Unfortunately. I have also placed King Cold here. I have placed a couple of green decks which I believe have potential. In my opinion, King Cold is still one of the best green decks in the game. I'm super biased when it comes to King Cold. We haven't seen King Cold topping lately, and it didn't get anything. I believe it didn't get anything in the latest set, but it is still a very strong deck. It's higher than actual trash, but I don't think it's tier 2. I think this is, you know, like your tier 3 casual deck. I don't believe that it is as strong anymore and that it can actually go and win events or top some events. I don't think so, but it's still a very, very, very strong green deck. Just not tier 2 material. Then we have Supreme Kai. A Supreme Kai I'm going to place in tier 1, as this is currently the best black deck in the game. This is by far the best black deck at the moment, which is why, you know, it's above SS4 Goku. This deck has a lot of consistency now. The Leader's Activate main is a lot better now that Pan exists, and you can dish out so much, and you're only really punished when you're playing against green. Specifically when you're playing against Green Cooler, that matchup is pretty much auto loss, because Green Cooler player will just mulligan for charismatic villains and salsas and he'll just demolish you, because nothing has deflect and nothing costs more than 7. But other than that, and thankfully because green is not the best color at the moment, not at the best spot at the moment, Kai is, I believe, tier 1. It's the best black deck at the moment. Then we're moving into a bit of an that's a bit weird when it comes to choices territory. Vidal. Actually, green Vidal is pretty good at the moment. We might do some deck profiles soon or some how to play guides. This deck is actually surprisingly good at the moment. It can generate a lot of Z energy, which is very valuable in a green deck, because green doesn't really have, you know, a lot of options to do this. And it's pretty aggressive, it's pretty strong, very consistent. I don't believe it is tier 2 material. I don't believe that it is strong enough to be tier 2, but I think that it's definitely tier 3. You will see some oddballs here, like Vidal. I've picked some of them that either got support in the latest set. Maybe I forgot something. I usually forget about some leaders, I'm sorry. Or like some decks that I believe are slightly better and you should take a look at them in comparison to all other decks. Because if I went with everything that I believe might be good, we would have like 80 leaders here and we would just divide them and this will take forever. So far, with L, I believe this is a very good tier 3 deck, which can potentially be a tier 2 deck in the hands of an expert pilot. So I'm not completely sold on putting it into tier 2, which is why I'm just gonna put it in tier 3. It's a strong deck, trust me, give it a go. Boo actually topped. Yes, Ivan Serrano played Boo at Raid and Trade online Zenkai Cups. Ivan, shout out to you, he is one of the best Spanish players. I believe that he can pilot anything into top 8. When it comes specifically for Boo, Boo got a lot of love lately, and it is pretty good. Not a lot of people are looking at it, but it's actually quite strong. At the moment, it's one of the stronger green decks. Still, I don't believe that it is tier 2. Green will have tier 2 decks, don't worry. I think it's another casual deck, but another one that you should be looking at. It actually, because it topped events, I would actually put it in tier 2, because this one actually topped events, and it is pretty strong at the moment. But you really need to know how to pilot this one properly. Then we have Grand Priest. I took Grand Priest because of the newest card that just came out for it, which just deals 2 damage when you play it. That's pretty good. This is one of, I believe, Bandai's pet decks, I would call them. Not in this is super powerful, more in a way of this just keeps getting support. This always gets support in some way. And this time around, I believe that it has enough support to go from actual trash to a casual deck. Maybe. Because when I look, everything else, it's still pretty bad. But it has like turn 5, deal 2 damage. Basically, that's pretty strong if you can aggro your opponent enough, but I still don't think that this is enough. I think that it is tier 4. Let's leave it at tier 4 for now. So how are we doing? 11 minutes, that's pretty good. Okay, oh look, we have like a nice pillar here. So okay, we've done 80 decks so far. Trunks Gogeta tier 1. Like, do we really even need to justify this? Trunks Gogeta yellow didn't lose anything. Trunks Gogeta tier 1. Now Trunks Gogeta can easily go into its Z leader at some point in the game to abuse the Vegito even more. It's still going to have robotic riposte. Even if it doesn't go into the Z leader, it's still going to have the Vegito. So now you're playing like 6 to 8 robotic ripostes in the deck. Yeah, this one is phenomenal. GT Spaceship unfortunately didn't do much. I saw some of them performing well at events, but Black Smoke is too much of a problem. However, if you go with Red Baby Unison, you have a backup plan that's actually pretty solid. Shout out to Crossworlds, he actually showed a very good list, a very good idea with Baby Unison, which I thought was very cool, and I believe that I saw one of these performing well at an event a few months ago with that same idea that when you lose your spaceship, you just go into Baby turn 3 as a backup plan, because you're losing spaceship turn 2 to Black Smoke, so just that you don't fizzle completely. I still believe that it's a casual deck. It's gonna need a bit more support. However, if Smoke Dragon gets touched, let's say like limited to 1, it could move up a bit. But for now, I don't believe that it's actual trash. I think that there is some potential here, so I'm gonna put it in like tier 3 at the moment. I'm being very strict with what is actual trash. So Bojack is just here because I know Bojack fans will be very disappointed that I've put him here, but it's because, Boo Unison kind of did horrible things. Gamma, tier 1. I don't think there's really a lot of debating. This is the best blue deck in the game. This is by far the best blue deck in the game. So yeah, I think there's not much to say. This we saw it perform well even after Worlds. Nothing got touched on the ban list. This is tier 1. So if you're hearing hitting noises, it's just the wind, it's okay. Cooler. I play Cooler. So, and I'm really, really bad at it. But at least, to help to make me feel a bit better, other people are also bad at it, so it's not really topping anything. I think it topped once since Dash Packs came out, and that was fairly recently. I think this one has potential. I still believe that this one is like a tier 2 deck. I still believe it is by far the best green deck. By far. But I don't think that it's tier 1. I don't think that it is strong enough to do that. But it has it has a very good matchup against Android 21. Because if you're playing it smart, you can just focus more, just side and focus more on your unisons, and then you will just deny Android 21 charges, specified color green charges, when she's using your cards. However, you cannot avoid giving her green energy. That's the problem, but you can at least limit it to 1 energy. Towa Token Deck goes into Towa Token Deck tier. I'm glad that Bandai finally realized that the shitty Towa Token Deck is a shitty Towa Token Deck, and they gave us back Secret ID. I don't need to talk much about the following two: Gogeta and Sin. Gogeta and Sin, just best decks in the game. They're gonna be even better. They're going to be even better. Like, these two really, really need to be hit. These two really need to be hit. If you thought they are terrifying, now they have the Gohan the Gohan promo card. The Sin has the newest Sin card as well. Gogeta pretty much stomps anything that isn't blue. Gogeta is so perfectly fair and balanced that not even Vegito SR counterplay can touch it with the permanent that it creates. Yeah, unfortunately it can't touch it. It's pretty stupid ruling, but okay. So I think these two, they should be banned or touched, or just take them away. But if you're taking them away, take blue away as well. That's what I'm gonna say. I'm not putting Gamma up because I don't think the Gamma needs to be banned. Master Roshi tier 1. This is me correcting a mistake that I did many months ago when I was a young and stupid YouTuber, and I placed Master Roshi in actual trash. So witness me today fixing my mistake and putting Master Roshi in tier 1. Master Roshi tier 1 best green deck. Then King Piccolo. King Piccolo actually topped fairly recently. It topped an event in Asia. It technically won the event, which is fascinating. The deck is strong. The deck unfortunately suffers from having a massive engine and suffers from, Sin existing and, some yellow things that can also get rid of its non-barrier cards, because nothing has barrier in this deck. It's still not the best. I don't believe that it is tier 2 going forward, that it's going to be tier 2. I think it's still going to be tier 3. No, it's very impressive what it did in Asia. The Trucker Man is next. Android 13, actually, we have an Android 13 deck profile with Alexander, who topped an NA online event with it. He told me, if I remember correctly, that he slapped like 4 Gogetas with this deck. Of course, we need to take into consideration that there is a element of surprise, because people don't know how to play against this deck. Now they will know a bit more of how to play with this deck. But so far, I think I think that I would place this one in tier 2 at the moment, because I'm pretty convinced now that I know, like, okay, you can actually swing 5 times with your boss monsters, turn 3. Yeah, it's not bad. It's really not bad. You should go and check out the deck profile. The deck is an actual monster. Might move it to 3, but I don't believe that it is 1. Actually, no, it's not. It's very good. It's very good deck. Trust me. Gohan, also another very good deck at the moment. Now we have an open slot for the next Crimson deck. And Gohan is one of those decks that everyone is looking towards. Okay, Gohan can dish out a lot of damage. I believe that Gohan is going to be a bit higher than just a casual deck. That Gohan is pretty strong at the moment, but we will see. Gohan relies a lot of RNG, relies a lot on you having good draws and being able to keep the pressure on. If you can do that, Gohan is awesome. So I'm going to put Gohan in tier 2. It's a bit better now that Crimson is gone. I don't think that Gohan was ever necessarily bad. I believe that Crimson was just better. So a lot of these decks in tier 2 are actually decks that aren't bad. They're pretty good, but people just aren't playing them. So we have seen Android 13 top, we have seen Gohan top, Boo, Cooler, Goku, all of them have topped, and they are decks capable of topping. It's just that players aren't playing them. Vegito, tier 2 as well. I don't think that this one is tier 1. There was a lot of noise when this one got a Z leader in the anniversary box. There was a lot of fear of, oh my god, this thing is going to break the game now, this is so broken. And then it ended up not doing anything. Like, not really not doing anything, but it ended up performing pretty poorly. So I don't think that this is like tier 1. Like, when you have Gogeta and Sin and all of these things here in tier 1, do you really want to go and play Vegito? Like, Vegito cannot really match what the top 2 are doing. Then we have some of the newer ones. Okay, sure, let's go over the newer ones. Invoker. We still need to do the how to play guide for Invoker. I'm getting very good Invoker players to give their input on how to play on this how to play guide, because we want to make sure that you get awesome and valuable information. That's why it's taking so long to do this. For Invoker, it is weaker than the original one. I believe that it is weaker than the original one. I think that it is a bit overhyped, but it's not a casual deck. It's one of those that can do very well if you pilot them properly. I would put Invoker into tier 2. I would not put him into tier 1. I don't believe that it's a tier 1 deck, but it's definitely a tier 2. It's better than tier 3. Actual trash, Universe 3. So on my previous on my previous tier list, where I was looking at archetypes themselves in set 20, nothing was in actual trash. Even this deck was in tier 3. In this tier list, because I know there's going to be some questions, in this tier list, we're looking at the metagame as a whole. So now you need to compare this guy to these guys. And if you do this, then this is actually tier 4, unfortunately. Android 18, tier 1. Android 18 is the best blue deck in the metagame. Trust me, I think that this one even beats Gamma. This is definitely the best blue deck. We just had a how to play guide. Go check it out. This thing can dish out so much aggression. It's really terrifying, and I'm already getting input from some very good players that, like, yes, this thing is a monster. A lot of people are looking at Android 21 and just ignoring Android 18. Android 18 is a beast. It's a better deck, in my opinion, than Android 21. However, unfortunately, it auto loses to Android 81, to Android 21, because, you know, blue versus blue, which is why I'm going to put Android 21 also in tier 1. I don't believe that this thing is tier 0. I honestly don't think that this thing is tier 0. I think it is tier 1. Actually, I have seen and I have heard from people saying that, like, hey, on Untap this thing is actually demolishing Gogeta and Sin, but I'm still not completely sold on this one. I was told by some players, some very good players, that this thing is overhyped. Would I put it in tier 0? I don't believe that this is tier 0. I think this is just tier 1. But it's going to keep a lot of blue decks in check. A lot of blue decks in check. Because if the more blue meta, the more non-blue aggro meta exists, you know, the more meta leans towards that one, the better this deck is. Because versus blue, it just wins. I believe that this just wins versus blue. Actual trash, I don't think that this one is good. I have seen some gameplays with it. Actually, now thinking, like, I have seen some gameplays with it, and it's not as bad. It's not as bad. So I think, like, I don't think that it's like worse than King Piccolo. I'm not sold on that one, but looking at everything in general, I think this is a pretty good Fated Rivals deck. So I'm gonna put it in tier 3. Actually, it's good for casual play. This one, I don't think it's good, but I don't think that it is necessarily strictly worse than SS4 Goku. However, I'm not sold. I think Android 17, Super 17 is just bad. Is it actual trash though? No, I think it is tier 3. I'm not going to be lenient. I'm very strict when I'm putting things into actual trash. So Android 17 and Goku and King Piccolo and GT, all of these get a pass, in my opinion, because you really need to be like Universe 3, or you need to be dead like Bojack to be in actual trash. So we do it like this then. I think this is a bit more fair. We'll see. The Yellow Spirit Bomb deck is tier 1. I think this one is similar to Trunks Gita. It's a bit more safe-ish. Not safe-ish defensively, it's a bit more aggressive, and it has a ticking time clock. Plus, with cooler counter, you're really putting your opponent on the clock. If your opponent goes down to like 2 lives, it's probably game over. If you can just swing with your Z leader and then just counter them, you basically won. You have your Spirit Bomb, you have your SCR combo. There is no beating you if you can put your opponent down to 2 lives. Boo is casual. Boo is just casual deck. Like nothing super strong. Not actual trash. Though I still think it is. Okay. The problem with Boo is that it just flat out dies. It flat out dies to Black Smoke Dragon. And you can set up his chain only twice. And if you get Black Smoked twice, you auto lose. That's the problem. Is it actual trash though, or is it just casual? I think this is just casual. Then we have Cumber. Cumber is very high tier 2. It's a very high tier 2 deck. It's super strong. It's going to not see a lot of play because of how strong red is. that's a problem for Camber, because you can just hyper aggro it, and then you have like Gogeta, you have Sin, you have Android 18, that's a hyper aggro deck. You can work around Camber. You have Cooler, who just says like, okay, you're not giving anything Servant because I'm just playing Unisons. I think Camber is tier 2. If there are some extra balance changes through bans, for example, we can see Camber maybe climb up to tier 1, but so far it's just tier 2. This is actual trash. This is the Exodia deck. This one is really, really, really bad. It won once, everyone immediately jumped on it, and then we saw that it's so much RNG to actually pull it off, and now everyone knows how to play against it. It lost the element of surprise, and now it's just bad. So I think this isn't even casual. I think this is just trash, because you need such a good RNG to pull it off. Bulma. I love Bulma. I love Bulma so much. I don't believe that it is tier 2 though. I think that it is tier 3. If you know how to battle against Bulma, if you know like, hey, don't let this thing awaken, it's gonna get super combos, you're going to lose if you let this thing awaken. Just either hyper rush it if you can, if you're certain that you can kill her before she actually does the super combo chain, or just assemble a winning board and then hit her and then let her awaken. You're still limiting her ability to constantly chain super combos. Then you can beat her. But a lot of people aren't doing that. A lot of people just see Bulma and then like hit her to 4 lives, and then like combo chains happen, and then it's tears. So I think Bulma is casual. But like it won recently, so I'm gonna put her in tier 2 anyway. I know Danny watches some of our videos. Shout out to you, Danny. I really love this leader, though I play a completely different build. So props to you for putting Bulma on the map, and yeah, for you, man, it's going into tier 2. Not tier 1 though. Cooler does very well. I would also put this one into tier 2. It has a lot of targets lately. We had this era where we didn't have so many, how do you call them? We didn't have so many battle cards that Cooler could just go and target and profit off. Now we have decks that draw a ton, play a whole bunch of battle cards, so Cooler is slightly better at the moment, especially when you have decks that just draw like crazy. Cooler is much stronger. It's much easier to mill them now. Beerus unfortunately falls down to tier 2. Until recently, Beerus was like tier 1, but now it's tier 2. The reason for this is, the reason for this is we are having a very... Beerus is good, I was told, by Poan, who won the 4th place at the World Championship. Shout out to you, man. I was told that like Beerus is good in like slower blue meta. You can actually ramp. You can get to your win condition. But now look at the amount of aggression that we are having in the first 2 tiers plus Android 21. I think Android 21 auto beats you if you're playing Beerus. Android 18 almost auto beats you, so I don't believe that Beerus is tier 1 anymore. For this guy, I think this guy also isn't very good anymore. For now, I think that he's just a tier 3 deck. I don't think that he is even a very good deck anymore. You can argue that, hey, this leader pulls some weight in, this leader isn't bad. But when was the last time that you actually saw this leader do anything? When Zenkai won. That's when it was good, in the very early days of Zenkai 1, and then it just fell off. Next we have AOD. Very good deck. AOD, very good deck. The Sin is phenomenal. The Sin is so good in this deck. The Boo Z Battle card is good. The Janemba is good. Like, AOD got so much love. I don't believe that it is tier 1. I believe that it is very high tier 2. We're not doing left to right thing. This time there's too many leaders here. Cell, also tier 2. Cell and Cooler are among the best green decks. Master Roshi is still tier 1, I believe, because Master Roshi still is the only one that keeps representing green. So in the highest levels of play, is the only one that consistently is able to represent green in top 8s, top 16s. Cell and Cooler, sometimes DC plays in top 16, but not as often as Mr. Roshi. Then we have the Gogeta. The Ram Gogeta, I just did an Asia Regionals breakdown of the deck. It got some new support, but I still think that it's just a casual deck. Guys, it was cool to see this deck do very well, though this was outside of BT20 meta, outside of Dashpack meta. It's a casual deck. It's not I'm going to do very well. I'm going to top some tournaments with it. It's not that good, unfortunately, compared to everything else here. Soul Striker, tier 1. I actually believe that Soul Striker is tier 1. Shout out to Slasher. Slasher just started his channel. Guys, I'm going to link it in the description below. Go check out his channel. Go give him some love. He makes excellent decks. And he said Soul Striker is coming back. He just did a deck profile on the Soul Striker. It's looking very scary. It's really looking very scary. It also topped the Latam Regionals. The pilot told me that he put out so much aggression that he forced Gogeta to awaken turn 3. So yeah, Soul Striker, terrifying. Then we have the Ramku. This one is casual. Like, this one isn't good anymore. Pretty similar to SS3. It was good in the very early days of Zenkai 1, and then it just fell off. Like, everyone saw like Beerus is just infinitely better when it comes to ramping, and Vegeta SS4 was so much better, so these guys just died. The boss is tier 0. Everyone knows that boss is tier 0. No, actually, I don't want someone to go and build Magenta because I said that it is tier 0. Shout out to Tom Iratorum from Deck Planet, who actually won 4-0 with Magenta at our last locals. Yeah, shout out to you, man, but like, Magenta is still, it's tier 3. It's the best hand destruction deck in the game if your opponent doesn't know how to play against it. Otherwise, it just kind of falls apart. Babidi, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. This one is so weird to me. I don't think that it's as good as this one. I think this one is pretty casual. I'm just gonna put it in tier 3. I haven't tried it yet. I haven't broken it down yet. I believe that this is just like tier 3. That this is your go-to AOD leader. SS3 Reboot is here because it did very well at the Latin America Regionals. Surprisingly good deck. I believe that this one is... I think that this one is actually very good at the moment. It's hyper aggressive. It creates colors that aren't useful to Android 21. It crits you so much. But actually, I would maybe just put him in casual. Because the problem is, this one usually falls apart in pre-site formats and in best of 3 formats, where you can just side against it, and it's very susceptible to counters. So I don't believe that it's actually, when you put it in a best of 1 pre-site format, and even if it's ever remotely better, people will be ready for it. So in those two cases, I don't think that it's very good. But it's a casual deck. It's a very, very good casual deck. Don't take sign, oh, casual decks, that this is bad. I might have to redo this a bit. Pan is very good. Pan is very, very good. Pan recently also topped Latin American events. Once again, no pre-side best of one, but we are seeing Pan here and there topping events, which is why I'm putting her into tier 2. This bad boy actually won the Latin America regionals, and I'm putting him into tier 2. I don't think that he is a tier 1 deck. I believe that he's like a tier 2 deck capable of topping events. Keep in mind, tier 1 is meta defining. This one isn't going to warp the meta around him. He's going to top here and there, but not going to warp the meta around himself. So tier 2 isn't bad by any standard of measurement. Not even tier 3. Like, tier 3 is usually okay. Apeku is also tier 2. One of the best yellow decks in the game. Phenomenal deck. We actually also saw it perform very well. 5th place, if I recall correctly, at Latam Regionals, piloted by Federico, if I recall correctly, because guys, I've been doing so many videos. Everything is a blend now to be... but yeah, performed amazingly well. Then we get the last two. I think Gogeta is tier 2. I think Gogeta is going to do very well at some events. It's not going to warp the meta around him, but it's going to be one of the best yellow decks in the game. And I think Gohan is just bad. Is it like tier 4 trash bad? I don't think that it's necessarily tier 4 trash, but I think that it's pretty bad. Okay, so let me rearrange this quickly. This works well. This works perfectly fine. Roshi is here as meta defining as the only actual represent of green, so I'm just gonna put him like here. If we're going like left to right, I think that we are looking at a scenario that's like, it's more like this, for example, and then we can do like this here. Yeah, I think blue is going to be insane. Okay, for tier 2, actually we could do it like, no, I believe 18 is better than 21. But 21 has a better matchup. For tier 2, I'm not going to be bothered doing this. I'm just checking if anything needs to go to tier 3. I believe that everything here is fine. Tier 3, these are just like casual decks. And then there is like actual trash. And I think when it comes to casual decks to take to locals, all of these are fine. Actually, I'm going to put this one also into tier 3. Yeah, it's just casual. It's not complete and utter garbage. It's just casual. Just only these two are actual trash. I need to be very strict with this grading. So yeah, I believe that's it. That's the tier list. That's it for the video. Let me know in the comments below, what are your thoughts on this BT20 meta tier list? Which decks do you think will be the best decks in the upcoming metagame? Would you move some leaders somewhere else? I'm very interested in hearing your thoughts. I read all of your comments. I try to respond to everything. I love our little community. And guys, with this video, we are ending the double upload streak for the moment because I'm severely burnt out. Thank you for all of the love and support. And yeah, please hit those like and subscribe buttons. Share the video. Help us grow. We have around 50 subs left to go to 2,000 subs. Maybe we can hit it by the end of March. That would be amazing. And then we're gonna have an awesome giveaway. This has been Damien from The Lookout, and I'll see all of you in the next video.